pleasure to serve under your chairpersonship, Mrs Main, and I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for Caithness, Sutherland and Easter Ross for bringing this debate and also for setting out a very detailed position. It's a well-attended debate, and I think that shows the significance of the issue to us all, to farmers and to animal welfare advocates alike. It's also very significant to the public, and it forms a hugely significant part of my mailbag, as I would imagine it does many other MPs. 150,000 people signed the petition, and 70% of the population plus are opposed to the cull of badgers. We've heard that it divides rural communities. I'd also suggest it's divided the House, although not officially. It's a devolved issue, and I'll speak today a bit about what we're doing in Scotland and also try to outline the main issues that have been spoken of by various members. It shouldn't divide us, however, because we have to learn from good practice. We have to learn from what works across the UK, and we obviously have differing strategies in place currently. We need to therefore review the evidence and to examine that very, very closely. In Scotland, as has been outlined, the risk of bovine TB has historically been very low, and there's no evidence whatsoever of a wildlife reservoir of bovine TB. The Scottish Government has recognised a need for confidence in this issue and has introduced a stringent package of measures, including tissue sampling at farm visits, an epidemiological risk assessment, tracing cattle, continuous herd assessments, and 2 consecutive tests with negative results to retain bovine TB-free status. In October 2009, Scotland was added to the long list of European Commission member states and regions to have been declared free of bovine tuberculosis. The Commission attributed this to the success of Scotland's livestock industry working in conjunction with the government. In terms of the issues that have been raised today, I will attempt to summarise them very briefly, as I'm aware that I only have another 3 minutes or so. Some of the main issues appear to be involve the crisis in farming. I think farmers have already been significantly affected by pricing. They may, also be fearing the impact of Brexit. There are export issues. There are issues in terms of being price competitive with comparators, and all of these issues are fundamental to the stress experienced by our farmers. The other issues are whether or not this is effective, however. The independent scientific group has apparently stated that the culling is ineffective, and the previous 10-year randomised trial, which was undertaken in regard to the Labour government of the time, indicated that it wasn't effective. So I think we have to base what we're doing upon evidence. Some evidence indicates that cattle-to-cattle transmission is the main issue, and that in some instances badgers may even contract TB from cattle. So I think it's important to look at alternatives. We've heard that experts have even cited a huge disappointment for the lack of an evidence-based policy, which I think is extremely concerning. The cost, it has to be cost-effective. It doesn't appear to be cost-effective in relation to the route of the UK government. Policing costs alone have been cited as 2 million, 20 million per month in terms of the culling, and an estimated cost of 2 billion by 2038. We've heard, however, that there are difficulties in terms of the shortage of the vaccine, and that's an issue that has to be looked at with our scientific community. We need to also look at humanity. We've heard about grave concerns about relaxation of regulations and free shooting. I think, to summarise briefly, we're in a time of austerity. Our most vulnerable are suffering. The disabled are suffering. The bottom line is that any policy enacted by this government has to be evidence-based. These are extortionate pilot studies. It's been described as a willful abandoning of science by professionals in the field, and we're beginning to ignore independent outcome trials. I feel that we're going down the wrong route, and it's an expensive wrong route and one that we can little afford. I would suggest that there requires to be a review of policy, a review of the research, a review of the pilot evidence, which is indeed urgent, and that it must be evidence-based. We cannot give farmers false hope by going in the wrong direction. We cannot base policy on desperation, anecdotes, and experience. In all my time as a scientist practitioner in terms of the NHS, belief has never equated to evidence. What we're looking for is evidence-based practice and making sure that we give the general public a cost-effective solution that works for all.